I just saw John Wick 3, First Blood Part 5, and it was awesome. Hey everyone, this is the Movie Maniac, and today we are talking about one of my most highly anticipated films of the year, John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum. Where to begin? I guess one thing I want to mention is that in the trailers, it shows us a series of different action sequences, and I'm happy to report that we don't actually see them all in the order they're presented in the trailer. They're shown out of order, so it wasn't kind of like, oh boy, now the motorcycle scene comes next. Oh, and then Halle Berry's going to come along. You didn't really know when any of what you've been treated to by the previews was going to occur in the film, and I'm so grateful for that because it keeps things fresh. I hate it when a trailer just goes beat by beat through each act of the movie in complete order. It just kind of spoils it for me. This, without a doubt, has the most action out of any of the films in the trilogy. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't stop to develop the world that it's creating or to dive a little bit deeper into the mythology. I think at this point you have a good idea of what you're going in for when you buy a ticket for a John Wick movie. This does not disappoint. This is absolutely everything it promises to be, and maybe even a little bit more. What's interesting is John Wick's character, played by Keanu Reeves, really suffers so much in this film, and you're beginning to see that this is a huge theme that occurs throughout this series, is the suffering of John Wick. And while, of course, it's been obvious in 1 and Chapter 2, it really comes through this time, and you feel it in a whole new way. I'm talking about just layers and layers of sacrifices he has to make, of beatings he has to take, the emotional toll, the physical toll. It's just so pronounced in this movie. Halle Berry is a character that's introduced pretty much for a segment of the movie. She's not there the entire film, but she comes with these 2 attack dogs, and you're going to love them. They're briefly shown in the trailers, and there's so much of them in her scenes, and my crowd went absolutely nuts for these dogs. I loved them, and I think that they were a wonderful spin on the action that we've grown used to. I really like what they did with Ian McShane's character, Winston. It could have been easy to just keep him in the background, but they utilize him so much more, way more than you're expecting, and there are some interesting developments with his character that I won't reveal to you here. We also get a little backstory on John Wick, which I didn't expect. He's still a mysterious man and very intriguing, but they do finally peel a layer back, which I don't think anybody saw coming. Laurence Fishburne's character from Chapter 2 does make a return in Chapter 3. He doesn't play a huge role. I'd say it's about the same as what you saw last time, but they are taking his character somewhere, and they're giving him some meaning more so. We're seeing just how he fits into everything. And, again, a development that I do give a thumbs up to. Asia Kate Dillon plays a character called the Adjudicator, who's sent from the high table to kind of do mild investigation, confront people while intimidating them, maybe cleaning up a little bit of the mess, and wow, is she menacing, and very clearly a good addition for what they're going for with Chapter 3. I won't get into any details beyond that, but just know that she's a new character, and she fits right in this stakes are super high Chapter 3 scenario that John Wick has found himself in. I'm really happy to see that audiences are embracing old school action like John Wick. There are not robots trying to destroy a city or alien creatures coming out of the sky looking to wreck New York City. None of that's on display here. It's basically Wick taking on bad guys. Yeah, there's a lot of hand-to-hand combat, a lot of gunplay. We see Keanu Reeves on horseback at one point. We see him on a motorcycle. And it's all just kind of classic, grounded action. And the audience is completely on board, and I'm just so thrilled to see that. But the fact that everyone's okay with this, and people aren't demanding it to get way crazier over the top, because this movie gives more action, no doubt about it, but it doesn't get absolutely insane in its scale, which a lot of sequels, especially in the action genre, do tend to do. I love how it was always raining in the city. I just thought that created a cool aesthetic. It created a unique vibe, and to see Wick running around in that rain, especially during the grace period, checking his watch, knowing how much time he has left in the beginning, this is exactly what you came to see, and it's setting itself up just exactly the way it should in tone. That's also fascinating to me, is for as much as John Wick, the character, and the film itself attempt to wrap up the events from Chapter 2, they keep opening up new avenues of story and development along the way, almost like it's almost as if the cat's so out of the bag from the results of John Wick Chapter 2, and they're just constantly trying to put the cat back in the bag, but they just keep ripping the freaking bag open. And I think that that's what it just, the stakes just keep getting higher and higher throughout Chapter 3, and I definitely think we're in store for another John Wick film, guys. I mean, I know they've been talking about it publicly, so it's no secret, and I don't want to give my theories on how and why they would do a Chapter 4, because they would be spoilers, but I think it's warranted in this situation. This is also one of the most consistent trilogies of all time. I think every single time I've watched one of these, I've given it the exact same rating. John Wick Chapter 2, I gave them both a 7.5 out of 10. They're very good movies. And this one, I don't know. I think I want to give it a 7.5 out of 10, but I might have to give it an 8. So it's somewhere in between there. I want to figure out where I come down on it exactly on my second viewing, whenever that might be. I don't know if I'm going to go to the theater or if I'm going to wait for Blu-ray, but we'll see, and I will definitely land somewhere on either of those sides. So really giving this one a big thumbs up. I highly recommend going to the theater to see this if you have been a fan of the John Wick series. You are going to get exactly what you put your money down for. It will not disappoint, and I give this one, again, a big recommendation. If you are not that big into the John Wick series, I don't think Chapter 3 is going to change your mind, because this movie absolutely knows what it is. It knows what its fans want. It knows where it comes from, and it makes no bones about it. What did you all think of Chapter 3? Do you find this to be the best in the series? Because I have been hearing that, and maybe I'll come around to it again. I do think it's somewhere between a 7.5 and an 8. I'm still making my mind up on that, where exactly I come down. So it's obviously a pretty damn good action film. No doubt about it. Do you rank this above Chapter 2, below the first? Or, I mean, where are you on the placement of these films? Or do you perhaps think that they're all kind of on the same level? As always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you can stay inside the mind of a movie maniac.